Welcome back, Panic folks. You're watching another episode of Anecdotes, podcast that holds down for the underground sound here in Ontario, Canada. And I'm your host, Phil Paxton. Thank you for joining me today. We got a good one for you. I'm super stoked about these guests. Before we get into it, though, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Follow us on our Instagram at Anecdotes. That's where we do all our clips and updates and all fun stuff that we're doing there. Go check it out there, please. It'd be a big help for me. Make sure you're doing that for me. Let's get into some shows. There's some awesome shows happening here in Ontario, and I'm here to tell you all about them. This Friday, if you're in Toronto, go check out my friends Loose Teeth. They're playing at the Hard Luck, and that's for their Wormwood release, and that's with our friends in Rust, Still Numb, and Strange Limbs. That's going to be a great time. If you're in Hamilton that night, go check out my friends in Rules. They're playing with The Almighty Trigger Happy, Choices Made, Dragged In, and Cold Tongue. And that's at the Casbah. Saturday, April 16th, in Hamilton at the Doors Pub, we get the Gavel EP release. That's exciting shit. Presented by Off Leash, Heaven. We got Gavel playing, obviously. We got Mile End, Die Alone, and Still Numb. That's going to be a hell of a time. If you're in Toronto that night, though, we got Beer Bash happening, and that's with Omnivert, Chainfall, Death Perception, Please Stand By, Dawn Valley, Detest, Angry Spells, Effects May Vary, On Deaf Ears, and Dead Roots. And that's presented by Tarantula Tapes and Minerva Cannabis. In St. Catharines that night, we do have Foolproof. And we got our friends in Heart Attack Kids opening up that show right on. Sunday, April 17th, Niagara Metal presents Dayglow Abortions, Random Killing, The Nasties, and The Electric Dead at Taps Brewhouse in Niagara Fall. In Waterloo that night, we got Bad Egg Hunt with Hex Offender, The Rotten, Ischemic, and Cerberus at Revive Game Bar. Friday, April 22nd, in Guelph, we have Frank Ducks, All But Six, Pep Talk, and Suplex City. In Toronto that night, we have Girth with their video release show at the Bovine with Oakrest and Mellow Honey. Saturday, April 23rd, in Toronto, we have a free show at the Bovine with Choices Made, Mall Crimes, The Slime, and The Holdouts. The following day, Sunday, April 24th, in Barrie, we have School Damage, The Readies, The Holdouts, and that's at Infinity Zero, aka Ask a Punk if you don't know where that's at. In Hamilton that night, we got Blissfields, Herd of Elk, Casey Baker, Neon Cowboy. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. Friday, April 29th, we have Faster Louder Records presents Avem, Speed Humps, Mind Counts, and Dave Rocket and the Jobbers, and that's in London at Richmond Tavern. Saturday, April 30th, in Hamilton at the Kill Room, we have Hostage, Scabs Off, Postpartum, New Anthem, Lil Perms, Nails, Grim, all cool stuff happening there. That's like a hardcore rap show going on. Definitely go check that out if you're interested in that. In Guelph, at the Jimmy Jazz that night, we have Dominion, Saf, Prior Convictions, and Laid Arrest. And again, this is quite a bit a ways from now, but September 9th and 10th in Mississauga at Hansa House, we got Damage Control and Solace Music presents Hold Your Ground Fest 22. That's going to be an unstoppable time. We got Never Ending Game, Mind Force, Pain of Truth, Dare, Momentum, Gridiron, Cohesion, Cold Shoulder, Endgame, Mile End, wow, and many, 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 many more. Get your tickets at holdyourgroundfest.com. Wow, folks, lots of cool stuff happening in Ontario. If you've got shows coming up in May, send me your flyer, send me it, give me all the details, and we'll do it on the next episode. We'll talk about some May shows that are coming up. Heck yes. All right, let's get into this episode. We have Casey Baker and Mike DaSilva, and they both played together in an iconic band called Sleeper Set Sail when I was growing up, and I actually saw these folks several times, and I'm so excited that I got them on the show. This was kind of a big deal for me. You know, Casey's been around the block. He played with the Buffalo Sinners. He also played with City and Color for a bit, and now he's back doing his own thing, as you heard in one of the shows that we've just mentioned. He's under the name Casey Baker, Neon Cowboy. Mike DaSilva has started this production, like studio, where it's Particle Sound, and they're working together again, and they've kind of rekindled their relationship, their friendship, and it's been really cool to watch it kind of unfold right on the show. This was a really good episode. I'm super stoked about it. All right, enough rambling from me. Let's get into it. Right on. Welcome back, Bannock folks. You're watching another episode of Bannockdotes, the podcast that holds it down for the underground sound. The t-shirt of the week this week, we got Big School. They're a band from Welland. I don't know if they're still active. I haven't seen, pandemic's taken a lot of bands, but I think they're still jamming. And then my guests this week, we've got Mike DaSilva and Casey Baker. How you folks doing today?
Awesome. How you doing?
Good. Now, you guys have been working hard in the industry for quite a while. I mean, like, you guys played in a band in the early 2000s, kind of did your own things and then your own projects, but you finally guys are back together. You guys are working and doing the whole,
All comes full circle.
and now you're doing Casey Baker Neon Cowboy. And you've put out a couple songs of that. How did you manage to keep that momentum throughout the pandemic?
I think that came quite naturally because it was a new project kind of being built from the ground up at that point. Live entertainment was not our first priority. So Mike's got a studio set up at his place, and it was kind of fresh that him and I reconnected. And we were just kind of scheduling, focusing on accumulating some recordings or just basically getting together to find the sound, and him familiarizing with my catalog of songs that I'd been writing, and us kind of trying to pursue the production that we were going to eventually settle in on. And so we would just schedule accordingly kind of through the pandemic, one-on-one in his place.
Yeah.
And at that point, there was no real deadlines or timelines for releases or actually crawling out from under the rock we've been living on yet. It was just about working in the background, so that part was easy. Yeah.
And you've been working on like your own studio for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I've been doing all sorts of different stuff, and mostly focusing on production and engineering and stuff the last several years, which is really cool. Of course, I miss the good old get out on the road and play rock gigs days, but I mean, that's the one thing no one talks about with the pandemic and stuff is it didn't slow me down. I'm in a home studio. Like, it's actually had more time than ever to be working in there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a double-edged sword, because living where your studio is and you're constantly feel like an obligation to, and you got nothing else to do. There's nowhere else to go or anything. But I think we accomplished a lot during the pandemic.
It's been such an incredible experience to reconnect with Mike. We'd met as teenagers, and Sleeper Set Sail was the project, and we went on to have a record contract with Sonic Onion, an indie label out of Hamilton. They hooked us up with a studio budget, which we ended up using at Silo Studios, which was a producer named Julius Buddy, who had previously recorded Alexis on Fire and Jude the Obscure.
Oh, cool.
We did, a whole full-length album at his studio. Unbelievable experience. From there, we had booking agents. We did tours through parts of the U.S. and across most of Canada, and we played one stage on Warped Tour.
Oh, really?
We did EXO Fest in Quebec City. We did some East Coast stuff. We did College Music Radio Festival in New York City. We had a really good run.
Yeah.
And it ended kind of abruptly. It was a hard commitment, and at the time, Mike decided he didn't want to continue, and that kind of led to the dismemberment of Sleeper Set Sail.
Right.
And for the greater 10 to 12 years, Mike and I were not in touch. We were estranged. I wouldn't say we were enemies, but we never really had the conversation to say what happened.
Yeah.
What went wrong. And I've moved on from there to do Casey Baker and the Buffalo Sinners.
That's right.
I spent some time as a touring member of City and Color.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
I did... The Sinners went on to have a record deal with Dine Alone.
Nice.
And then kind of same old thing, booking agent. I almost got to repeat that experience and build back to where I was.
Yeah.
And then that kind of ended. And when that ended, I went kind of I became a bit of a recluse and kind of gave up on music and gave up on the music industry, and got a hectic job and had a baby and started a family and basically thought all this was behind me. And then about 2 years ago, reconnected with Mike and realized that neither of us had hard feelings about whatever went wrong in Sleeper.
Oh, right on.
And that we were both available and had accumulated a complementary set of skills for us to probably start working together again.
Yeah, exactly.
And where I had kind of started poking around with songwriting again, and he had been doing 10 years of developing studio engineering knowledge and technology at his fingertips.
Yeah.
So it, this reunion has been unbelievable.
Yeah, I was gonna say now
Very
more than
exciting.
ever, it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
makes sense, right? It's the
Yeah.
perfect storm.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
What are some of the plans for the 2002 or 2022? Now that things are kind of like slowly opening up, and then, like, you guys are dropping more songs with Neon Cowboy.
Yeah, do you want to take that one or?
I'm just glad that the world is getting somewhat back to normal. We've had a little bit of taste of like live gigs over the last year. Myself, like, and people we know, like, it wasn't a thing, and then it was out of lockdown and stuff. But it was just enough to give you a taste for the live gigs again and just going to see shows and stuff. So it's like super, super exciting. And obviously the local music scene is changed a lot, and we're older now, but we found like a lot of opportunities in craft breweries and wineries and stuff. Like, it used to just be like dirty ass clubs in a basement, which was super fun, but I think that whole thing's evolving too. I think the timing, maybe it's a coincidence, but we've had all this lockdown time to be in the studio. We weren't really missing out on shows, so the timing is kind of perfect.
Right.
Now that to look into that and be scheduling stuff, it's actually possible now. So it's super exciting. I think the future is bright, and knock wood that we stay open for a while.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You just don't really know anymore.
So when we started to get back together, working on things, it was a mutual friend who brought us together, Brett Friesen, who's a local songwriter.
Okay.
And then shortly thereafter, an old contact, Marcel, who has a stage name Addercliff, as he's a songwriter, came into the fold because he does visual arts.
Cool.
So between the three songwriters and Mike as a producer, Brett Addercliff and Casey Baker, Neon Cowboy, we were kind of hovering there, decided that with Mike kind of overseeing the audio development of each of these projects, we were going to start the record label.
Yeah.
And that's where the Particle Sound came from, which can be found on Instagram right now. Through the Particle Sound, we were able to get intertwined with the St. Catharines or Downtown St. Catharines Association.
Yeah.
And with their support last year, we partnered with the Merchant Ale House,
cool,
the craft brewery, and launched something called the Downtown Block Party, which we did last August.
Yeah.
It was a live concert on St. Paul Street in downtown St. Catharines. We also had some support from 97.7 Hits FM.
Cool.
And that was kind of the one thing that we did to kind of try to put ourselves on the map locally as an organization. The reason I bring this up is because you asked about 2022. So as far as I know, the plans are to do a second annual downtown block party.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet about what partners or sponsorships are going to be involved in that. But I know that between the Particle Sound and the Downtown St. Catharines Association, we will plan something.
Yeah.
Under that name, the Downtown Block Party.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
It was really sweet.
Yeah. It was wildly successful. We had the support of Niagara Arts Center, who brought what they call the Papa T mobile stage.
Okay.
The Papa T Showmobile, it's called. It's a trailer.
Oh, I know. I've seen a band. I've seen a band out front of the NAC play a show there. Wildside. Yeah.
Yeah. So the trailer folds open and becomes a stage.
Yeah.
They've got this unbelievable sound technician, Kenny.
Shout out to Kenny. Yeah.
He basically turned St. Paul Street into a concert.
That's super cool.
And we were super, super grateful to have them, believe in the idea.
Yeah.
We talked about what it could have been. But one of our, we thought about this whole idea for the last year about, we use the hashtag very often called local brews, local tunes.
Yeah.
Just kind of trying to bite into the idea that anybody that's interested in local homegrown drinks might be open to the idea of local homegrown music.
Yeah.
So that's why we went after the partnership with the Merchant Ale House for that particular event.
Mm-hmm.
The stage was set up like directly across from their front door.
Nice.
At the corner of Queen and St. Paul.
Yeah.
And it was because we had a partnership between them and 97.7 and Downtown and the Particle Sound. Everybody and the Knack. Everybody putting their energy into one event. I think we had somewhere between 400 and 500 people show up at its peak moment. Not to say it was that packed from noon until sundown, but at its peak of the afternoon, we had around 400 or 500 people, and our headliner at the time was Gin, who are making a lot of waves locally right now, and they totally brought the house down. It was a super successful afternoon. So
it was just a fun day.
Yeah, we hope to repeat that again this summer.
It was super hot.
Was it reminiscent of SINE?
That was the idea.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore.
No.
And we started to think to ourselves, like, let's see what we can drum up here to try to just reinvigorate, if not the young crowd in Niagara, try to get that nostalgia from people like ourselves that still, we're not it was a free event. It wasn't a $50 wristband.
Right.
It wasn't 10 stages at 10 venues over, it wasn't a 2-day event. There was no car show.
No.
There was no like super heavy acts, which, we would love to include, but at this stage we're kind of baby steps.
Yeah.
It's one stage. It was 5 or 6 hours long and in and out.
Nice.
But it was definitely a step forward, and hopefully we can build on last year's success and blow that out of the water this year.
For sure.
Yeah.
It was pretty reminiscent of SINE now that you mention it.
Now that I mention it.
And it's not like even SINE to me, like what like obviously you remember all the great bands you saw and all the venues and stuff, but to me it was just the vibe, the environment. You're just downtown. Like it benefits everybody. Like the block party, like Merchant Ale House did great. Like all the businesses, there was traffic and stuff, and that was one of those breaks in a lockdown. There was a small window of opportunity, so that timing was good.
Yeah, it was August, and it was that was the most or the least amount of restrictions that I can remember in the last 2 years at that little window of time. So we absolutely nailed it.
Went for it.
And there wasn't really much regulation of anything. It was kind of just open streets, right? So the merchant was selling their drinks in plastic cups, and there was some like cafe style tables set up in the road, but we were advertising, telling people to bring a lawn chair, bring a wagon, bring your stroller, bring your kid, bring your dog. The same people who used to pay cover to see Sleepers at Sale at the Hideaway or L3 in their 20s or in their teens are now probably having dogs and babies.
Yeah.
And we're like, you're still invited.
Bring them.
Let's go. Like we're not done. We spent a lot of time. I spent 10 years trying to run away from all this.
Right.
And it caught me.
Yeah.
And we're back. So come on, like get out here, have a beer or not.
Yeah.
Have a water or not. Enjoy some tunes.
Yeah.
And everyone's welcome. So it was cool.
The thing that sticks out for me about that whole day was everyone was just so happy that there was live music again. It had been such a drought for so long, and whether or not people just happened to be in the area or something, that just made the day awesome. And it's just like a really good vibe. It was just everyone was just happy and getting along and happy to feel normal.
Actually, I might as well plug that if you were to follow the Particle Sound _official on Instagram, if you looked at our feed, there was a post shortly after this event. We were lucky enough to have Jay Ashcroft with Ashcroft Media. He did like a compilation video of the day.
Oh, cool.
So it features it's overdubbed with a performance by Jin, who was the headliner.
Yeah.
And it has some footage of different artists performing. It's got footage of the street that day, and I think it really accurately captures the vibe of what we tried to create and what we hope to recreate this year. Awesome. So if anybody's at all interested in this downtown block party idea, then you could look it up on our Instagram, see the video. It's about 1 minute or 2 minutes long, and it's great.
Check it out.
And shout out to Ashcroft for putting that together for us, and that's a massive tool for us to try to translate the message of what we want to achieve down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have any plans for an EP for the Neon Cowboy project? Is that in the works or?
Yeah, that whole side of the music industry has changed a lot, and we're adapting with it. And it's a gift and a curse for sure. We were just talking about this earlier. Like, there's nothing stopping you from just releasing as much music as you want on your own schedule. And I mean, people's attention span isn't what it used to be. I think we're definitely on the same page where we totally miss the concept of like albums and interludes and intros and outros and
for me,
hidden songs.
I miss buying a compact disc and reading the booklet for the lyrics while I'm listening. And that experience is not something that young people understand.
No.
So we've thought about the idea as the Particle Sound. We're trying to kind of guide the releases of Brett Friesen and Addercliff, and now Casey Baker, Neon Cowboy. With this, at least at this early stage where we're in our infancy, we're a year old, we're kind of thinking of dropping singles.
The single route, yeah.
Because ultimately all these projects are relatively unknown to the greater public.
Yep.
And we think it would probably be a mistake to ask for them to invest in 12 songs.
It makes sense.
Time-wise or financially, right? So it's kind of like, look, here's 3 minutes, see what you think.
Yeah.
And if you like that 3 minutes, in 6 weeks, there's another new 3 minutes coming out of a different song.
Yeah.
And at least for now, as we're trying to build and grow, that seems like the right approach. For the life of me, I would love nothing more than be putting out vinyl.
Yeah.
And have physical copies of everything we want to do. Have a full 12-track or LP ready to go. But, I mean, we're building this. I think we have most of the songs mapped out, but we're completing them as we go. So basically, when you see something come out online, there's maybe 1 or 2 in the works behind it.
Right.
By the time they get out, the next 1 or 2 are.
Yeah.
And it allows us to stay active, stay relevant.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Netflix thing where you drop a whole season and people might binge it.
Yep.
And if we did that, they might be interested in that artist, and you get a little buzz for 4 or 5 weeks. But then the internet has flooded you with 100
completely
million,
forgotten.
right,
Yeah.
you're gone. So I think there's some it's advantageous, or there's benefit to dropping singles here and there along the while to stretch it out.
Yep.
Because if you continue to please the people that are on board now, there might generate some word of mouth that blends to new listeners.
Yeah.
I think it changes how you make music too. And like we were talking about this earlier too, like our Sleeper Set Sales full-length album, like how long did it take from start to finish to record? Like record, track, mix, master, like months and months and months, let alone writing it.
Yeah.
From the start of writing the first time song to having a finished product was like a year process.
Yeah.
So now I think it's also, that's why it's a gift and a curse, but it's good for the artist too, because you don't got to sit around and wait for a year. You can always be excited about the next song.
Yeah.
And there's nothing stopping you from, like you said, starting a bunch of them, getting them this close, and then it's just a scheduling thing of when to put them out. I think, it's a whole different generation. If we were doing that now, I remember us going through that too, and like writing a new song in the jam space and being so excited to play it, but we're like, we gotta wait until it's part of this. But nowadays, it's like, so go play it.
I can distinctly remember, when you're on tour as a band supporting an album, you need to support that album, right? So it felt like a really big step to try to introduce new music in your live set. At least for us. I know that not everybody was like that, but it was hard. We had like a kind of organized live show that we were touring all the time.
Yeah.
You can't just switch it up that quickly. There's a lot of technical stuff that we did with tunings and effects pedals, and the show had to make sense, and it had to be like logistically playable. So we couldn't just introduce new stuff, and
Would you say that's like one of the biggest difference between playing back then and playing nowadays? Is that whole attention span shift?
I think on the music side of things, whether subconsciously or not, it's just changed music in general, the attention span. Like, what was the average length of any song back then? Was like the shortest song you would see was like 3.5 minutes in our like genre, right? Now it's like the longest song is 2.5 minutes. So
people are putting the hooks right at the beginning of the song.
Yeah, that's true too. Like, and we were notorious for like our intros were a minute and a half. Like
Sleeper was so selfish like that. It's just so fun. I miss doing that. But
yeah, that's the curse side of it is
like modern music. I think it's not the reason for the attention span urgency that artists, the reason why they're worried about that, and you need to catch them, you need to hook them early.
Yep.
Is because of the oversaturation or the overpopulation of the community, right? There are 100 million indie artists out there in every genre thinkable that are, promoting themselves on Spotify and YouTube and Amazon and Apple and getting on the playlists, and they're on Instagram and they're on Facebook and they're on Twitter, and there's 100 million people every time you click that button saying, listen to me.
Yeah.
Check me out. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to have the particle sound exist as like a way to represent what we're doing, as opposed to just being an indie artist saying, me too.
Yeah.
Or please me, whatever,
Yeah.
and banging on everyone's door, shameless self-promotion all the time to try to represent ourselves as something bigger.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard because there's so much material out there from independent people that if your song's not a banger in the first 12 seconds, like swipe, it's just
next.
But that's the thing, you can't even hate on it because I don't know about like I'm just as guilty.
Right.
Like
that's the
same.
thing,
Yeah.
in the same way, you know what I mean? And it's hard to as a listener to navigate this world. How do I really find the stuff that's going to blow my head off?
Yeah.
And how, as an artist, how do I create the stuff that I can actually, people will give me 30 seconds
Yeah.
to evaluate whether or not I've touched the right buttons for them.
I think it's the age-old thing. The distribution is what changed it the most because it's just astonishingly easy to get your music on Spotify and stuff like that now for super cheap, and it's really fast how it goes. But that side of it, I think, changed the most. And it's the age-old thing of like, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from writing a song with a 3.5-minute intro and then a 15-minute song. Like, go ahead and do it. But every artist has in the back of their head, like, is anyone even gonna make it to when the vocals start? Like, and like, I think that's where people got to be honest. Like, me as a listener, would I even make it?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I think it all goes back to a great band that I use to reference when I have conversations like this is Radiohead.
Yeah.
A band that started by playing by the rules of commercial music success.
Yeah.
Their first two albums, Pablo Honey and then The Bends, were structured songs, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, end. Right?
Yeah.
And they did the video thing. They stayed, the path frequently traveled.
Right.
They had the structure of the way all of that came out and was presented to the world was the way we all expected it. And the albums were great. The songwriting was great. Everything was great. They became a world superpower of a band.
Oh yeah.
And then when they got that big and they had that, allegiance behind them, they started to say, we're going to build our own instruments to record our next record.
Yeah.
And we're going to record it this way. And we're going to release it this way. And we're going to film it that way. And they started to just completely redefine, by the time you got as far, In Rainbows, Radiohead.
Yep.
Didn't have singles. I could, remember High and Dry when it came out and it was in pop culture.
Yeah.
It was in movies. It was on the radio. Now it's like Radiohead is its own subculture.
Kind of. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like they played by the rules to build the fans.
Yeah.
And once they had the fans, they said, peace out.
Yeah.
We're our own artistic juggernaut.
Entity. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think on a much smaller scale, that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're
Right.
release some singles that are, in a way, that are aggressive in the sense that there's some hooks, they're a little bit catchy. You're proud of your performance, and try to gain some followers, gain some listenership, gain some people that are like passionately interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then once you have their attention, that's when you can start to step outside the box.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, our kind of loosely written game plan for now.
Yeah.
We're probably just biased from our generation, but like the theme albums and stuff like Mars Volta and like At the Drive-In or stuff like that, like I know people are still making it, but I still listen to that stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like,
I do too.
This is what you grew up with. Right?
Exactly. It'll
I can't
never
give-
change.
Can't give it up.
No.
How many times did we listen to the Mars Volta touring with Sleeper? That was like
Infinite.
It was
It's your go-to record.
It was a compact disc.
Yeah.
That was like, just we had remember like back then we had the binder of CDs.
Yeah.
We're in the van. And,
Oh no. Aging.
we would argue over who gets what's coming out next. But Mars Volta was probably on every fourth or fifth.
That's
album.
funny.
Dillinger Escape Plan was in there a lot.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, fucking, they're a great band.
And we used to listen to all kinds of different stuff. But
Yeah.
I remember Mars Volta was nonstop.
My favorite thing at this age is rediscovering either a song or an album from a band that just somehow escaped my memory, and then hearing it almost for the first time again. Like I just I don't know how I stumbled on it. I was listening to some like Glassjaw. I'm like, Glassjaw was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
They were really cool.
Shredded. Like
Those songs, those vocal melodies and the power and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
they had sickening rhythm too. Like,
oh my God.
like some of the bass grooves that happened on such a heavy level too. Like,
especially
they were
after time,
incredible.
I always think like maybe I was just hadn't been around music enough, so that's why I thought it was impressive. But now going back, I'm more impressed.
Right.
All that stuff seems like it was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
More so, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Glass
love
shows.
rediscovering old stuff.
I've been on a major Deftones kick.
Oh,
yes,
cool.
Yeah.
I never really let them go completely.
Yeah.
From my rotation, but they are just it's absolutely criminal what they're capable of.
Yeah.
It's like it's not fair.
They were paving a way for their sound with their sound too. They were doing lots for that genre.
So dark.
Yeah.
Like it's exactly like people might not see that comparison, and when you listen to Neon Cowboy, it's like I've got a little bit of a soft voice.
Yeah.
And there's an acoustic basis for the songwriting, but lyrically and mood and atmospherically, it's like Deftones are a major influence. On
Yeah.
it completely.
I can feel that.
It's very like a lot of dark.
Yeah.
Wanting to push a lot of dark tendencies.
It's funny how your influences come through years later, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
And I think mostly it's subconscious. You're like, oh, I'm going to try to emulate Knife Party this time. And like, I really like those certain notes. It's just, that's what you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to me all the time. Yeah, I don't know. That stuff, I love rediscovering. But I also really love rediscovering old local bands that we used to listen to and stuff like that too. But that is hard. I didn't even tell you this. No one's going to know what I'm talking about, but Succession Movement.
As soon as you said that,
Bro.
as soon as you started this,
When's the last time you heard? Do you have their album?
Yeah, I don't know the name of the album, but I remember.
You have a
them
copy of it? We Need a
distinctly.
Hill?
Yeah.
I went online to a little
found
record
it?
shop in Toronto and ordered it. It cost me like over $50 or something with shipping and stuff.
Yeah.
But that one instrumental song, I'm like, I need to hear it.
Yeah.
It's not online. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
A lot of local stuff, just you can't go online and find
They
it.
were from like Jersey, I think.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
saw them for the first time at the Mind Bomb in St. Catharines in like '99.
Oh wow.
And I was like, I bought their CD at the table that day and kept it. And I remember showing it to everybody. Like when Sleeper was developing, I was like, oh, you guys don't come to practice until you've heard this fucking record.
Yeah.
Like a homework assignment. And now here, this 20 years
It's
later,
just
he's
crazy.
like, remember
But
that band?
That one instrumental song with like that crazy rhythm change and stuff, like I could hear it in my mind, but there was no way to access it. I'm
Couldn't
like,
find it.
I don't care what it costs.
Yeah.
I need to, and that's a shame. And there were so many amazingly talented local bands and stuff too that it's not on the internet.
Yeah.
If it's not on the internet, what do you do? And if there's not a hard copy left, like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
what do you do? Some of that music is,
Yeah.
I hate
Well,
to say,
that's-
like, is it just gone?
That's why I'm so glad that we're finally doing what we're doing, because all these ideas, some of the songs we're putting out right now,
Yep.
from us, were ideas that were in what we call the boneyard.
Yep.
When you're in a band and you've got songs that are developing, that's the songs, and then you've got the boneyard where you keep the ideas or riffs
Right.
that you want to like. Oh, when the right time comes, or you suddenly realize that article B in the boneyard and article F in the boneyard are in the same key. Maybe we put them together. The boneyard is where you store all your stuff.
Yeah.
And and a lot of what Neon Cowboy is doing right now, were Buffalo Sinner, Casey Baker and the Buffalo Sinners, was the boneyard.
Yeah.
And it's like ideas that I could suddenly remember after 12 years of not
Right.
opening that door.
Yeah.
they're coming back, and now they're developing better and finishing fuller, and it's an interesting deal.
When do you think the last time you guys played a show together, and maybe even separately? When was the last time you guys played a show?
The last time we played together
Yeah.
would have been the last Sleeper Set Sail show, like our farewell show.
Oh yeah.
Which was at L3 nightclub, and that would have been in 2005 or 6.
Yeah.
2006 maybe. So that's a long time ago.
I can't remember years anymore.
Yeah. And then the Neon Cowboy played in October for an Oktoberfest show at the Mansion House in St.
Cool.
Catharines.
And you guys played the Rock the Block too, right? Did you guys do that?
The downtown block party.
Yeah. You guys played that as well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I played that solo. I'm still in the works of getting an actual band ready to go for stage stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully 2022 can do that.
Yeah. And when was the last time you played live?
I got a project going with my girlfriend now called SINE Language, SINE. We do like some indie pop, like electronic stuff. Our stuff's online too. You could check it out, SINE Language Club. But we got a sweet gig at Lock Street Brewery in Port Dalhousie.
Oh, cool.
And we played there every Sunday this summer when lockdown permitted. And we just played a couple weeks ago for like their Valentine's Day
Nice.
thing. But it was really... And that's the first time I've ever delved into playing some cover tunes and stuff and kind of putting our own spin on it. Which, that's weird.
Yeah,
All those years, it never crossed my mind to... A, just to do it, or B, that it would be enjoyable, or like you could make it your own, and like, but it's really fun. Like,
yeah,
I've the last 2, like watching Brett Friesen, who's a very good friend of mine, unbelievable songwriter, unbelievable stage presence, performer, singer. He was kind of making his bread and butter off the cover circuit and the wineries, and I've been out to see him 100 times, and every single time I'm like, I need to start learning covers. Like he makes them completely his own and spins them, and you can find a way to put yourself into them. And it's like, I don't know, how have I been playing music for 20 years and I've never done covers?
Yeah.
Never.
I
got to figure it out.
That's changed too, and maybe it's just coming of age, but it never crossed anyone's mind to. I mean, maybe you would throw in.
It was like sacrilegious.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like we got all these ideas of our own. Why would we?
Yeah.
Well, we considered cover bands were like a different. They were like Bizarro World.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
we
were coming from the surge of Niagara in the 2003-2004 time period. You had like Jude the Obscure. Alexis on Fire was blowing up at that time.
They were huge.
The Bedlam Society was kind of running the show circuit, so we had unbelievable talent rolling through here that were all original hardcore and like post-punk bands, and it was like, you know, who the hell's gonna go play Tom Petty? You know, at a pub. Like, no, we're better. We thought we were too cool for that, right?
That's
then you
exactly
get older
what it
and you're
was.
just like, holy shit. Like, first of all, how good is Tom fucking Petty?
Yeah.
Second of all, you know, no one's good. You know, if you want to make a couple bucks, like that's a great way to do it. It's totally noble, and it's, if you're a talented person and you put your spin on it and enjoy what you're doing, the songs touch people.
Yeah.
You know, there's a nostalgia about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I want so badly to figure out my way in there. I just don't know how to start.
I think you just gotta start. And that's the same thing too. You gotta put yourself in the shoes of just like any random person that's there. What would you want to hear if someone put a cool spin on an old song from your childhood? It's just like that's gonna grab your attention more. Yeah, it's just funny that it never came up in discussion that we could play cover gigs or even cover songs. Or that's something it wasn't even a thought.
No,
but
not allowed.
No, not at all. And I think that's changed a lot too with YouTube. I mean, it's really done it for that. Like everyone just makes a name for themselves by covering songs and stuff. But you can't hate on it because it's if someone just tries their best to cover a song exactly how it is, I'm like, yeah, I get it. And like, you know, tribute bands and stuff.
Right.
I totally get it. And it's impressive and everything. But when someone really puts their own spin on something. Or slows it down, like really drastically changes it and changes the key and stuff like that. I'm like, it's almost cooler to hear one of those songs in a new light.
Interesting.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So you guys explained how where we're at now with you guys and a bit of the history. But what's the origin? When did you get Sleeper Set Sail? How did it come about? How did you guys meet?
So I went to Dennis Morris High School in St. Catharines.
Yeah.
Grade 9 math class. I sat down next to a real quiet guy who smelled like the smoke hole.
Yeah.
And his name is Trevor Speechley.
Okay.
I invited him to come today, but he was occupied. He had like a work thing he couldn't get out of. But,
yeah.
Anyway, Trev and I kind of started to hit it off. He's a bass player. I had been a guitar player. A guy named Tom, who's in our grade, was a drummer. And then we had another guitar player for the first recording and release that we did.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a switch made and Mike joined. Actually, that guitar player, his name is Rich. He's now playing with Sam Coffey.
Oh, really? In the Iron Lungs? Yeah.
Yeah, he's the bass player.
Really?
Yeah. Funny, like
yeah.
six degrees of
It's
Niagara.
funny how that happens, eh?
His name is Rich. Really good guy. But there was a switch made from Rich to Mike. But it was cool because Mike was younger than us.
Yeah.
So I was like on my way out of high school, and Mike was kind of on his way in, and he was playing in a band. But we kind of had a little bromance going on. I don't know, like a older brother kind of thing at the time. Which is funny because now Mike teaches me more about music than I could.
Yeah.
But for about a year at that time, before he blew past me,
It was switched.
It was me being like, "Hey, bud, like, what's up?" And we would hang out and talk about music. And I said, "We're gonna need you in the band."
Yeah.
And he joined the band, and then I think I can recall going into a meeting at Dennis Morris High School when you were still in grade 11 or 12 because we were going on tour.
Wow.
Like his mom had called and I went in to talk to like the principal and be like, these are our tour dates. This is our booking agent. This is our record label. This, Mike's going to have to take some time off school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they okayed it.
I can't believe they okayed it.
I can't believe that, eh?
And we were on the road.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of false promises. Their whole thing was like, okay, well, you're not going to miss any of the curriculum, so you got to take all these books and you got to do this chapter, this chapter. Never.
Of course not. Yeah. Yeah. I got to go. You guys can party tonight. I'm going to finish up my history.
No, that never happened. I didn't even bring them.
Yeah, of course.
I think it was like, boiled down to be like, are we bringing the merch or are we bringing Mike's school bus?
Yeah,
Like,
we only have room for one.
Sorry, not gonna happen.
That's great.
Yeah.
You guys still have any Sleeper Set Sail merch laying around?
Not a
Anything I can nab?
dude. First of all,
Yeah.
the amount of merch we made, like manufactured and sold, was a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't even have one of them left over.
No, eh?
No, I don't.
Did you guys press vinyl of that record?
No.
No, eh?
No.
Unfortunately not. That was in that in-between phase. Like,
it was the CD.
No one was really...
It was MySpace was like the thing.
Yeah.
And if you grabbed a CD, then like you were a fan of the band.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That was it. Well, we had some distribution through Sonic Onion, so the CD was in stores through like... There's a store called Hot Topic.
Yeah.
Which is like I don't know. How would you describe them? We're like kind of like a goth store.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
They sold like fishnet
Novelty.
stockings.
Yeah, they're still around.
Fishnet stockings and heavy metal records.
Yeah.
And our CD was in there throughout the States. And,
Yeah.
we were carried in like some HMVs and stuff. Remember when HMV was the store?
Yeah.
Weird.
Now it's Sunrise.
You could get the hard copy like that way at the time. Nowadays, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know where it is.
Just go online.
Find it. Yeah, find it. Now, is there any chance that a Sleeper Set Sail reunion could ever happen? Any singles coming out or?
Okay, want to answer this question on 3 together? Okay. 1, 2, 3. No.
Fair enough.
No, we talked about this too, and we've talked about it a few times. The logistics of this is just me personally, but I don't know the songs.
Oh, I don't that long, right?
Pretty much all of our songs were in a different tuning and stuff. There's nowhere for me to ask someone how to play it. Like,
well,
I could learn them, but
I'd have to learn them, and then I'd have to teach Mike.
Wow.
And then we'd have to figure out, we'd have to find the drummer.
Right.
And we'd have to find a space.
A lot of work, right? We
don't own that equipment. The equipment was different. The tones and the sound were different.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's not... Like, Mike's a producer now.
Yeah.
He's not a guitar player.
Wears
in a
a
rock
different
band.
hat, right?
It's
yeah.
not. And when's the last time you were a guitar player in a rock band? Sleeper Set Sail.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 2005.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's not. It's.
It would
I don't see
take me
that.
longer to relearn those songs than it did to like write them. Like
Yeah.
and that's crazy. Like Life Jacket or something. How many times did we actually play practice intro? Like at least 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. I can't remember the first note. I don't know how to. My hands like.
It's funny how that is. Eh?
It's crazy.
For anybody who's absolutely, emotionally attached to whatever Sleeper did.
Sure.
15 years ago. First of all, thank you. That's awesome.
Right.
I appreciate that. And that's what we wanted it to do at the time. I mean, we wanted that music to touch people. That's always been a steady issue. Anything I've written, the idea is to hit people.
Yeah.
Like let's go. I want to write emotionally driven songs that have an impact on the listener. So if we achieve that for you, awesome. We did what we meant to do. But
Yeah,
there may be an opportunity. A couple of those songs maybe sneaking their way as a cover into Neon Cowboy.
Yeah.
At Oktoberfest, I did do an acoustic cover of Life Jacket.
Nice.
Just because I had a couple old buddies that came out of the woodwork. They, guys who used to be super fans who snuck out from their wives and babies and dogs to come to the Mansion House that night. So I threw in a Life Jacket cover for them.
Nice.
There might be more where that came from, but I think that would be about as much as any kind of Sleeper nostalgia is going to go.
Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to some anecdotes. So let's talk about some of the wildest stories you have from being in a band, whether it's on the road, in the studio, at a show, anything in between.
Everything was wild, man. It really was. Like, looking back, especially to put into perspective, like, our age at the time. Like, how were we in these situations? Like, we were just sleeping in strangers' basements and stuff. But, like, at that age, like, their parents were there.
Sometimes.
There'd be two bands. I remember a couple times there was, like, what would that be? 12, 13 men at, like, in a basement, and their parents are like, "Oh, morning, guys." I'm like, would that happen now? Like, are people that welcoming? And this in the middle of nowhere. We just met them that night. Everything was.
It was strange.
New.
It's strange now in retrospect. At the time, it was normal.
Right.
There was like a booming indie rock scene or metal rock. Every city had that crowd. We'd go play London, we'd play Windsor, we'd play Montreal, we'd play Quebec City, and there would be, over 100 people no matter where we went.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit it off with one or two, and hey, if we could avoid spending money on a motel, then like a band house, or some student house that had a couple couches, and we'd just figure it out. Though I was normally relegated to the van because that was when my snoring issues began.
Oh no!
Don't remind me. Oh my god, I forgot.
I have to go sleep in the van all the time.
Man.
That's my role in the band too. I'm a huge snorer, and they have to
forgot.
work the logistics around it, right? They're like,
good.
all right, so you're in this room because you snore.
I forgot. It was so bad.
I can remember in winter months too. Some days I was just voted right out of the motel room or whatever, and I would put on a couple pair of sweatpants, 2 or 3 hoodies, and get the sleeping bag going on the bench seat in the van, and I'd run the van for a half hour, get the heat, and then shut it off, and then try to go to sleep, and just because I would get kicked out.
That's funny.
Yeah. But in terms of stories, I had brought one up to you earlier that I thought was super funny. That was might have been the last tour we did when we were in the States, and we Sleeper as a band played New York 3 times.
Oh, cool.
And playing New York is different, and as a band, it's a milestone, right? And you're thinking to yourself, like, this is a big. We got to kick ass tonight. Like, this is New York, New York. It's not. I'm trying to think, Tecumseh, Ontario. It's like something. It's substantial. You want to go back home and tell people that you had a good show.
Mm-hmm.
So they were always very important. On this particular occasion, we had driven into the city, which is in itself an experience. So driving a big van or a van and trailer full of gear through Manhattan is not an easy thing to do.
I can't imagine.
And you're new to you don't know where you're going. Whatever. We're looking for this venue that we were booked to play, and we thought we knew we were on the right street, and we kind of looking at the numbers, and the number didn't work. It's like, it went from 12 to 16 and we were looking for 14 or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously the numbers were bigger than that. It was
Right.
New York City, but to give you an example, we couldn't see the number that matched the address we needed.
Yeah.
And we were in the spot, but the address didn't exist. Like, what are we doing? It's like disappeared into a vortex. Like, what's going on? There's a black hole. Like, where's the fucking venue? So we went around the block a couple times and we were like, which is, took an hour.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you finally get there, and we just pulled over, and we kind of got out, stretched our legs. I think we had driven from Philadelphia or something like that to get there.
Yeah.
And parked the van. We're looking around on the sidewalk, scratching our heads, looking at skyscrapers all around us. And then this grate on the sidewalk, just kind of like you start to hear this a creaking noise, like at the end of the Michael Jackson Thriller.
Yeah.
Like spooky creaking noise. And the fucking gate opens up. And a dude crawls out like a fucking Ninja Turtle, and is like, "Hey, are you guys in the band?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're in the band." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm Tony or whoever. I'm from the venue." And I'm like, "What venue?" And he goes, "Well, it's down here, man." And I'm like, "Down there?" And we look, and there's a fucking hole in the sidewalk, like like a subway grate.
Yeah.
And there's a ladder made of wood. And he's like, the venue's down here, man. And so we, like, well, I don't know who, I don't
How
remember.
was that loading?
That's what I was gonna say.
I don't remember who was the first to go in and make sure it was a real venue and not like an organ harvesting thing or whatever, Like, somebody went in and checked out what was going on. And there was like a room about the size, like a 12 by 15 room, like a bedroom.
Yeah.
Under the sidewalk in New York City. And there was a PA. And there was everything was like all the walls were blacked out with like posters all over, and it stunk like piss and booze. And we said, okay, this is the venue. So I think we ended up, we waited for other bands to start showing up. Some of them were local, like New York guys.
Okay.
So listen, like we're here from Ontario, Canada. Like if we all put our gear in there's no room for people. So do you guys want to like share a backline?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we'll take one. Everyone can have a cabinet, and we'll have one bass rig, and we'll have one drum set, and we can all kind of like get the show going.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, all right, no problem. We were like, oh, okay, cool. So we ended up lowering equipment down through this fucking hole in the sidewalk, down a ladder.
That's a pretty
like
good
big, like
visual.
412 cabinets. Like Trev played like an Ampeg, like 810 cabinet at the time. Like, I don't even know what we did. I don't remember how we got gear in there, what we did.
I remember looking down and the guy was on the receiving end, like, but anyone walking by would be like, "What
is going on?
It was so weird.
Are they
right?
robbing this van?"
And so we set up a backline and we played hard that night because it had like a CBGB's kind of feel.
Sure,
And they're like,
you're underground.
for the record, it was
Playing for the Turtles.
Yeah, it was not CBGB's for the record.
Yeah.
we weren't that important. But I don't remember the name of it. I don't remember the name of the people.
I
don't remember
highly
the name
doubt
of
it
the
had a
bands.
name.
But we played a show for probably 50 or 60 people in New York City that night.
Wow.
And we sweat our bags off, and we played hard, and we thrashed, and we like gave it 120%. And it's one of the most memorable for me, just because like how better could you explain New York City?
Yeah,
the
really.
real estate crisis of New York City is that we had to do indie shows in a hole in the ground on the sidewalk in Manhattan. It was just fucking crazy.
That's probably the wildest venue I've ever heard, even from doing this show.
Yeah,
We should have took pictures or something. Like, it didn't exist.
it wasn't there.
You can't find it nowadays. You won't find it nowadays.
Yeah, no,
Gone.
No.
But yeah, it turned out to be a really fun show
Yeah,
and
it was
a
good.
really good
I think we
experience.
might have sold 4 T-shirts that night.
Yeah, out of the van though, because there's no space.
Yeah, no merch table.
Yeah.
And it was always just an adventure, man. We were just like, getting lost was fun. And this is like, to really date ourselves, like, we map quested shit, man. Like,
Yeah.
we printed out MapQuest. We didn't have a GPS. We didn't have smartphones and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Getting lost.
Text messaging was happening, I think, was new.
Yeah, but still.
it was that T9.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we had to print all the MapQuests at home before we'd leave on the tour.
Took you a half hour just to say what's up to your buddy.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just always get lost. We always somehow made it to where we were going on time. You know what I mean? We were driving halfway across the country.
Where's the furthest you ever played?
Geographically, what would the
So,
East Coast is
yeah,
far?
We did the East, like, our typical routine was to go through the East Coast.
Yeah.
So that'd be like Halifax, sometimes Sydney, and always Charlottetown, PEI.
Oh, cool.
I don't think we ever made it to the Rock, like Newfoundland.
Right.
So
really north.
farthest east would be Prince Edward Island, I guess.
Cool.
Farthest south would probably be,
Delaware.
I don't know, whatever's further south between New York, Philly, and Delaware.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at a map.
Yeah.
We never went like
question.
deep into the states, but the kind of northeastern seaboard.
Right.
And then from a west coast direction, I was lucky enough while playing with City and Color. I did one tour as a member of City Color and one tour as a opening support act for City and Color. And
cool.
in both of those occasions, played like Edmonton and Calgary.
Nice.
I never made it past the mountains, though.
No.
So, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Any more anecdotes from playing in shows and working with bands?
Well, I tell you one thing. I don't know if I ever came out and said this, but driving and like being a passenger in a van when he was driving was fucking terrifying.
You're not a good driver?
I don't know. I think I'm a great driver.
We never totaled it or anything, but like we had the shittiest old van in the world. And it was like already old and needed work, like we knew it and stuff. And every time it was like he was trying to break his record for how fast we can get back from London or we can get back. He was really like, I got back in an hour and a half. I'm like, you're not supposed to. You're pushing this fucking, let alone in the winter, man.
Yeah.
Every time we got where I was going, I was just like shook.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a bit of a lead foot, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, we got there.
Yeah. In one piece?
Yeah. I didn't know that like a 1986 GMC Rally with 300,000 kilometers on it wasn't supposed to go 140, filled with 4 adults and all of their gear, pulling a trailer. I didn't know. It worked out.
But you made it work.
So sometimes we did blow through a couple transmissions. Or no, we blew the motor.
Yeah.
We blew the motor in Meatloaf.
Yeah.
That was our red van.
Mm-hmm.
And we blew the tranny in the one before that.
Yeah, I guess that's a story too, man. Like, that's the thing. It's funny to look back at all this stuff and like laugh at your own pain and stuff, but like shit happened, man. Like, we were stuck in a shitty motel in Kingston for like 3 or 4 days and nights with nothing to do because the van was like getting looked at and stuff, and like it's super expensive and all this stuff.
The tranny dropped in Kingston.
Yeah.
We were on Sonic Onion, so we called them. And it was their van. They were like, they gave us the van.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, your van's no good. Can you rent us one? Or like, what are we doing? They're like, oh, we're gonna get it fixed. We're like, we weren't like mechanical people,
No.
so we were like, okay, a transmission sounds like probably a pretty big repair.
Yeah.
So it was like 4 days, and we had to catch up to the tour after it was fixed. Ooh. But for those 4 days, we were just stranded in a motel in Kingston.
Oh, that's gotta suck.
With no money. Like, we didn't want to spend our money because we were like, we still had to catch up to the tour. And like,
Spending extra days in the hotel is not free, right?
So
Yeah.
We went through like, remember it was just the Cinnamon Toast Crunch marathon. We just ate boxes of cereal. The banana dog too, right?
Oh yeah.
So have you heard of are you familiar with the banana dog?
I'm not.
The banana dog, it doesn't apply to myself because I have an allergy to peanuts.
Okay.
But the guys in the band, when we were like really bad for money, or we didn't have like rider food or whatever, they would stop at a grocery store and they'd buy a bag of hot dog buns and a bunch of bananas and a jar of peanut butter. And you put the peanut butter on the hot dog bun and then the banana inside. Yeah. And that is a banana dog.
Nice.
It's just high protein and like great value for a touring band that can
also looks hilarious.
yeah. Hilarious. Yeah.
So what's your, when you guys are on the road, what's your go-to gas station snack when you're when you got to pull over and stop? What's the go-to thing that you need to grab?
Whatever's on clearance that they gotta get.
The clearance food.
Yeah. I was a Doritos guy. Yeah. But I'm a cheeseburger guy.
Okay.
Not gas stations don't always have cheeseburgers.
No.
Nah, combos.
Yeah.
You're missing out. I could just live
the
on
combos. Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted in life.
Craziness.
Yeah.
I remember too. Like, it's all starting to come back to you when you think about it. But like, yeah, just getting lost and being in a weird place. And me and Tom like skateboarded everywhere. And like, what a great way to find skate spots. I went like all across the country in these weird little neighborhoods and stuff, and like just skating. And I don't know how much we should get into detail. But what's interesting to me looking back is like, we didn't drink a lot. There were no drugs. There was no nothing. It was just like kids having fun.
For Sleepers That Sail was a clean deal.
Yeah.
Much, yeah.
It was all on the up and up, and everyone like It just wasn't that prevalent, I don't think.
Yeah.
Even drinking, I shouldn't say, like, I wasn't even drinking age, and, like, it happened here and there, but it wasn't, like, I can't remember being, like, out of control and, like, sloppy.
I made up for that with the Buffalo Sabres. That's okay.
Played catch up.
Yeah. Anyway.
Do you have any pre-show rituals that you guys do that before you guys played, or that you had? Or
Usually take a shit and,
Yeah,
puke because you're nervous,
Yeah.
depending on the show. That was mine.
funny how that's always consistent. You're like, I gotta shit. And, you're like, I ate well and it's still bad. Like,
Or I didn't eat at all.
yeah,
Where is this coming
yeah,
from?
exactly.
We usually used to huddle before every show.
Yeah.
Especially, what was funny about it is we do it even at like the worst, most shithole shows where nobody was there. Mm-hmm. And we would have the huddle and we'd say, okay, guys, this is it. It's the real thing. And it would be funny because sometimes it was not. you know.
It was quite.
But it was
not.
the same speech every night on stage, regardless of the venue, regardless of the crowd, and so when we had good nights, it was fun.
It was good.
When we got big opportunities.
And but when it was bad, it was just funny.
It was just funny.
Here's a story I just remember before we get too far. Remember when I got battery acid in my eye?
How did you get battery acid in your eye?
Because I'm an idiot, and we were sitting outside the gig afterwards or something, and like all the 9-volt batteries from my
The pedals.
pedals,
From his
I
effects
was just
pedal.
like bored. I was sitting
was
on a
just
curb, and I
tapping.
was just smashing it with a rock or something. I didn't know what. I want to see what's inside a battery.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I still don't know if that would happen. What propelled it? Like it was several feet away and just right into my eye.
That was in
You read your science books on tour. You was.
yeah, true. The physics one.
That was in.
I just remembered that.
Moncton, New Brunswick.
Moncton, yeah, I've played there before.
Yeah.
Moncton's
Punkton.
sweet.
Yeah, Moncton. Is that home of the magnetic hill? I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where you like go up the hill and it takes you up, but it's like
you roll.
yeah,
up the
it's
hill.
just like a
It's an
gimmick.
illusion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an illusion.
It's
Yeah.
just- yeah. Wow.
I think that's cool too. There was just certain cities, towns, and stuff on the East Coast, like wherever, and between here and there, that like every city had its own scene
Yeah.
and like various degrees of like enthusiasm for the scene. But some cities you go to and just like it's like everybody just loves every band and everyone loves music, and don't even have to have heard of the bands. They just show up and there's hundreds of people there and they're all
Yeah.
excited and stuff.
Yeah. Then at that time, I couldn't say that would be the case now. Who know? You know what happens.
I don't know. I don't
I don't
know.
know if there's a scene anymore. You know?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
You know, is there a scene?
In St. Catharines, it's kind of spotty. I'd like to
Yeah.
say that there is, but like, I'm sure there's individuals that say like shows have been gone since, whenever, right? Like,
08,
yeah,
09.
and it always seems
Yeah.
that the people seem to say that when they were in high school and they were enjoying music the most.
Yeah.
So like, somebody who was listening to music 5 years ago or like 2015 may have thought that that was the peak of the Niagara music scene.
Right.
Whereas like here we are, like I would say like, yeah, when you guys were playing was like one of the biggest times for Niagara and the bands. So it's kind of hard to tell is there a scene? I'd like to say that there are still lots of people who want to play the music in this area. Is it the exact same thing that you used to be?
Yeah.
No, and I think the internet's got a lot to do with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Everyone can hear your tune at like you're in this
On
thing
your phone.
so you could just it's
Yeah.
like it's a lot
It's just
easier than going to the MySpace link, right?
Yeah.
Or finding a CD that you've never you thought the artwork was cool or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I miss that too. Like there were several times I went to shows at the Hideaway and had never even heard of any of the bands.
Yeah.
And there was some that I'm just like, oh my god, I buy their CDs and their T-shirts and everything. They're my new favorite band and stuff, but I wouldn't know they existed unless I just showed up. It
That
was
was
just
my
about music.
That was my favorite way to discover a band.
Amazing.
Show up, I know
the
nothing
best.
about this band, and sometimes I would go, I'm going to purposely not find anything out about this band
Right.
because I want to see how they perform, and
Yeah.
if they blow me away, then we'll take it from there. If they
Yeah.
don't, then
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sweet. So that part of the scene, I don't know, because people have still, bands have fans and they'll go see their show, but just to be a fan of music in general, I don't know. And that's changed a lot too. Like people go watch DJs and like EDM type stuff, and it's just not as, it's not a visual thing. There's no instruments and stuff.
The energy's not necessarily there.
It was all. Maybe that's changed too, because back then I remember even like on Bedlam Society forum or something, it was like who are the best local musicians in each instrument and stuff. And everyone was like, this guy from this band's a really good bass player. This guy's from this, and like everyone was very aware of talent and what each person.
It was the fan base was educated. They knew what they were talking about.
Involved, and genuine. It was that I don't know if
how
it's
you
the
ever
same.
build that again. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be crazy. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
The internet has a lot to do with that too. Like I truly think it'd be harder for someone to shred a guitar so amazingly now that it'll be as impressive as it was in those days when you just see the local guy like, wow, you know what I mean? Because there's 9-year-old kids that are shredding Eruption every day and like really good, like very talented,
On,
but
like,
you just
TikTok.
exactly, it's just a thing. But before, everyone's like, the respect for talent was just astonishing.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
So if let's say for this hypothetical, because we'll put it that you're still playing music. Let's say that Sleeper Set Sail hit the level of Metallica. You guys are selling arenas out. What's the Rockstar Dream rider? What's on the rider waiting for you in the green room? You got an unbelievable budget.
Combos.
Nice.
And banana dog for sure.
Yeah, banana dogs. Yeah, you can't get rid of the banana dogs. Doesn't matter how big you are.
I can't even begin to think. I don't even know. Maybe a couch. Couch and a blanket.
That's it. Yeah,
That would be just
something simple,
yeah,
some water.
I feel like it'd be a lot of like sushi or something. Like we would have to consciously have healthy food there. Like
Now, hold on. Are we talking like now or?
Let's
in
say
our prime?
nowadays, but I'm just saying hypothetically because like you're not necessarily playing live music as much. But
Right.
in this hypothetical, let's say that you guys are both
Okay.
playing, and or it doesn't have to be the same band. You guys are just playing live, and you're as big as Metallica. What is the budget?
or yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Cheeseburgers. Yeah, same thing.
Mountain of cheeseburgers.
Yeah. I don't know.
Honestly, no, you got to think beyond that. Like you're thinking of like obviously a bunch of beer and a bunch of whatever and food and stuff, but like we needed stuff like toilet paper and like essential and a toothbrush, like
Yeah,
that kind of
that's
stuff
right.
would go a long way.
Right.
I'd say like a house coat, like a sweet
A
robe.
house
That's
coat.
it.
You know what? I'm a slippers guy. I can't stand
Brought your
that.
own slippers
Yeah,
today.
actually, for this filming, I brought like a pair of flippy
Nice.
flops, just because I don't like having my bare socks against floors.
Fair enough.
Let alone my bare feet.
Right.
So I think I would probably demand that I had like luxurious
Some Gucci slips.
footwear, some Gucci slips.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're
Fresh.
really splurging
Like-
now.
Fresh out of the box. Like I'd only ever wear them at that venue,
Yeah.
and then I'd leave them behind.
Yeah.
I'd throw them into the crowd.
There you
again,
go.
you know what I
There you
mean?
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right on. So I've only got one more question for you folks, but it is a big one.
Yeah.
I'll need it from both of you.
Sure.
Top 5 favorite artists of all time. If you can't give me 5, 3.
Artists? Just
Bands,
any genre? Anything?
anything.
Impossible.
It is tough.
I think we might have touched on some of it,
Wow.
like Tom Petty.
There you go.
If you're gonna go for like a standard, like just straight up rock and roll songwriter, like Tom Petty,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with that.
Easier to say who influenced you the most.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's Sure.
Okay, you do your list.
So Tom Petty,
I didn't know that.
yeah, the Deftones,
Yeah.
100%. When I was growing up, or when I was about 14, I met Dallas,
Yeah.
and this was before he was just playing downtown St. Catharines, and
Mm-hmm.
he kind of became like an older brother figure to me, and that's how I got intertwined with different stuff with him and playing with City and Color, and he actually taught me songwriting techniques and some of the things that I still use now.
That was super
So
cool.
I would have, if we're going to talk influence, he was kind of like took me under his wing in 1999,
Wow.
and up and for about 10 years thereafter, we were close, and he had an impact on things I was doing.
Nice.
So him, and then I think 3 you said I could get.
Yeah,
away
you
with,
can
right?
get away with 3.
So
What was
maybe-
that?
I think Mike DaSilva might be on the list as well too, because
There you go.
He's incredible artist. Yeah.
No, realistically, you were a huge influence on me. I don't know if I ever came out and said that either, but like Sleeper was a band like that I was super into and very excited about. Like me joining Sleeper wasn't just meeting some dude. That would be like joining Metallica, like joining an established band.
Right.
I was like, it was beyond what I thought could happen. So it was really sweet. So that was obviously a huge influence on my musical journey. But I listen to all sorts of different stuff. I've gone through a lot of phases, but
Mike goes deep.
yeah. Jeff Buckley.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
Good call.
And it's different artists for different reasons. Jeff Buckley was like the most, because still, most of his stuff I can't listen to without crying. Like the most emotional, sincere, not even the most polished or anything. Just like that stands out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got something popped in my head.
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
I should have said is my all-time like possibly favorite band from like an indie circuit.
Yeah.
I met them as people because we toured together, but then I've gone on to listen to everything they've put out since, and is a band called Lady Hawk out of British Columbia.
Oh, cool.
Lady Hawk, go find them.
All right,
They're
you heard it.
Probably my favorite band.
Jeff Buckley, yeah, that was a big one. And then like Lil Wayne, man, like
Nice.
seriously, like,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel that for sure.
Yeah, like all sorts of different stuff. Tool is huge because when I was just playing drums and stuff, that's how I got into.
Yeah.
That's a tough.
It's a big question. Yeah.
It's hard.
No, that's fine though. You named a couple.
Yeah,
off.
that's good.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we can end it there, folks. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining me today on Banecdotes. If you want to let the listeners and viewers know where they can find all the social medias, if you have anything else that you have left to plug, feel free to.
Right. So together we've created the Particle Sound. That could be found on Instagram at the Particle Sound Official. That'll be information that pertains to Brett Friesen, a Niagara-based songwriter, Addercliff, a Niagara-based singer-songwriter, and Casey Baker, Neon Cowboy, who are all housed under there. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I got separately from that, I got the Casey Baker, Neon Cowboy Instagram. You could look up Case Bake.
Nice.
Case Bake on Instagram to follow that stuff. And then Mike's got...
my group with my girlfriend is Sign Language. It's at Sign Language Club. Again, SINE. And you can find me on Instagram, mad.beat. That's my little producer.
Mad.beat.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep
right
in
on.
touch. Yeah, thanks
Awesome.
so much for having us. This
Yeah,
was awesome.
thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
We're
Cool.
super excited. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll end it there then.
Yeah.